Good evening and salutations, my J fans. This episode was a lot, okay? It was a lot. There was a lot of people, there was a lot going on, there's a lot of different stories, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to miss a couple of plot points, but I do my best. I'm gonna start off with the most pointless one possible. Take a wild guess what that is. That is, of course, the TJ and Molly scene. And let me tell you the reason why I feel like it's so pointless. They get to talking, and Molly turns out, she tells TJ that she's not pregnant, and they have this bit of awkwardness that's going on. Meanwhile, Alexa sees Curtis coming back from a meeting, sees he's in a bad place, and decides to take him to Charlie's. So they get to Charlie's, and they wind up just pretty much bumping into TJ and Molly and kind of crashing their whole talk. And you got Molly talking to, what to call Christina from that? Molly talking to Alexis and TJ talking to Curtis about the baby. And TJ seemed like he was excited. Molly was not exactly sure how to react. She had this 5-year plan of what she's going to do and this, that, and the third. And you know, Alexis is like, listen, long story short, just talk to TJ. They get to talking, and they're both like, they want to have a child. Now, the reason why I find this, but I want to sit there and start off with this one, because we barely see these two. I mean, seriously, does anyone actually care that those two want to have a child when we see them every once in a blue moon? I mean, I can't get invested into them. I really can't. I don't really care if they did want to have a baby, if TJ wanted to have a baby and Molly didn't. I didn't care if it caused friction because, I mean, we don't really see them enough to actually care. I don't see them enough to actually care. This whole scene with Porsha and Hat Daddy, aka Marshall, seemed somewhat pointless. It really did. Um, once again, Porsha goes over her reasons, aka her excuses of why she did what she did. At this point, I almost don't care. Maybe I just had a long day at work, but I'm just like, but at this point, I don't care. Whatever your reasons were, they were garbage. They were garbage when you first said it. They were garbage when you told Curtis, when you told um Trina, when you told Taggart, they were garbage, and they're still garbage. So at this point, I just don't care. Um, Curtis talks about his genetic counseling, and if if it comes back that he didn't have schizophrenia, then he's going to be disappointed with how much time he lost with his children. And of course, Portia's like, well, you felt like you were a danger, so you did what you had to do. Now, see, this may all work to some extent. The problem is when they turned 21, there was just no excuse at that point. There really was not. When they were kids, cool. But the minute that they turned 18 and 21, nah. I mean, this dude came back into Curtis' life when he's in his mid 40s, probably almost up there in 50s, give or take. And the reason why he said that it was a good sign was because he made a nightclub with music. Yeah. So all that, oh, I wasted all this time and stuff like that. Yeah, well, I mean, the first 20 something years I can understand, but at that point, bro, that was just on you, you know. Um, it did seem like, well, Marshall pretty much did parent trap both Curtis and Portia. So that's gonna be something. And of course, Portia's like, oh, do you think that we still got a chance? I'm just like, I mean, does anyone even care that those two would get back together? Do you want those two to get back together? Do you want Curtis to sit there and be like, nah, that's cool? Okay, maybe not as cool, but do you want him to sit there and forgive Porsha for her lies and her deceptions from when she got back to Port Charles and knew him for all that time? Because here's the thing. I feel like in a lot of ways, me, well, not even be really being upset or disappointed with Porsha for what she did to Curtis, because that's still bad. What she did to Taggart for all those years was even worse. I mean, she cheated on him. She knew there was a possibility that Trina wasn't his daughter, and you just kept the lie going. You just kept that lie going for all those years. And of course, she snitched talking about, oh, I want to protect that bond. And, yeah, okay, Porsha, whatever. And in reality, I feel like the real victim are probably the victim that was impacted the most is a character that we don't really get to see that often. Yeah, great writing right there. So Austin interrupts Sonny and Ava talking, and they get to talk on the sidelines. And Ava's like, "Yo, I wanna tell Sonny. Sonny's gonna sit there and help us out." And Austin's like, "No, I think that's gonna be a bad idea. I think it actually make things worse." I'm just like, "How would it make things worse? How? I don't understand that." Even last night in a live stream, I was like, "No, just tell him." And people were saying that, well, Sonny's gonna sit there and use that on Ava. And I'm like, listen, the Sonny thing, that's a problem for tomorrow. Okay, right now we need to sit there and solve the problem of today, and that is finding that body. But of course, Mason comes in there, and I enjoyed this scene. I enjoyed the scene a lot because he didn't just flat out say, "Yeah, I know exactly what you did." There was a bit of, and I was I know it sounds kind of bad and a little adult, but it was a little bit of a foreplay thing going on. He didn't just come out outright say it, but he did eventually let Ava know, hey, listen, I know what you did. I know what you did with the body. So I'm on to you, pretty much. And then there's a scene where he's like, hey, I think we should start, really just hanging out more, just socializing more. So, I already got Austin's number. I think I'll get your number. Give me your phone. And she's all like, no, 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 no. Austin can sit there and give it to me. And then I have like, no, 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 no. He pretty much looked at her like, no, this isn't a rhetorical question. Phone now. So, he puts his phone number in there and he pretty much is like, listen, when I call, you answer. Now I'm sitting there looking at this like, so, we gonna get Sonny involved yet, or we just not we not gonna do that because reasons. Because the reasons that Austin have is, well, stupid, to be honest. And there's a scene with Olivia and Sonny, which is like, it's like they really it's like they really felt the need to cram as many characters in this episode as possible. Because I didn't really care about this scene as much. And to be honest, I don't really understand why. I don't understand why Olivia is that is that, like, why she doesn't like Nina that much. I mean, listen, I'm all for ride it out for your friends, but I mean, what did she do to Olivia personally that, there's a couple of times where Sonny's like, hey, could you be nice to her with the whole Willow thing, and stuff like that. And, he's talking about Nina and she's all like, like, you do realize that you have to work with this woman, right? For me personally, I can't imagine being in that much content with somebody who have to sit there and share a hotel with. Like, is she really that upset that Nina took the hotel? Because let's be honest, this was Carly's doing. This is Carly's idiotic move of why she lost that hotel. And I know people are listening to saying what they said, but I'm going to sit there and say it anyway. Okay? Nina did offer to give back the hotel. Carly being Carly with the smart mouth, just like she was before with the whole Nixon Falls thing, decides to go off. So now she doesn't have a hotel anymore. So how is that Nina's fault? Like that's I feel like sometimes, and don't get me wrong, I don't like Nina. Okay? But I don't sit there and try to find outlandish reasons of why I don't like her. And people listen to this saying, well, Nina did that on purpose and this, that, and the third. And I'm just like, let's not ride with Carly, but Carly made a stupid decision against both the advice of Drew and Michael, and this is where she wound up at. So why is Olivia so, angry at Nina? Like it's just it's I mean I okay. I'm actually thinking about that and I understand it to some extent. Dante and Leah. But she's trying to make it seem like this is like I feel like her anger is more about Carly to some extent. Willow and Nina had a civil conversation. After Willow addressed some ground rules, the things that they were not going to talk about. Um, Nina asked her, how are you feeling? She started talking about nails and everything like that, and she gave her some nail polish. And, granted, when it was over, Willow was like, listen, I'm not going to sit there and forget about what she did to our family. And I get that. But I feel like it has to start somewhere. It has to start somewhere. As far as them, at the very least, being civil to each other. You know? Don't get me wrong. When I still think about that, I mean, that was another part of my inspiration. One was Brock TV, and two was Nina bullying Willow with the whole Charlotte thing. I'm never going to forget that because that showed me a level of entitlement in Nina that just disgusts me. Okay, it makes my blood boil just thinking about it now. So I get that she doesn't want to forget all the stuff that she did to her. But I think, what Liesel said as far as a new lease on life, at the very least. I mean, people, and this is very difficult for me to sit there and do. Sometimes you forgive people not for them, but for yourself. If she gets a new lease on life, certain things you got to sit there and you don't have to forget, but you do have to sit there and move past it and not let that negative energy carry that negative energy with you. You got a second chance on life. Don't you know what I'm saying? Don't bring that energy with you on your next journey. His conversation with Dex and Michael was so pointless. He gets to the roof, and Dex is like, "Sonny's on to me. Yeah, he shut me out of a meeting." And then he talks about with Michael that he shared a meal with him, and he started talking about some woman named Gloria or whatever. And of course, Michael was like, yeah, he wants to there mentor you and stuff like that. And so he trusted you, and the fact that you didn't push is a good thing. So you're good. If he caught on to you, you would have been done so. So that didn't happen. So you're good. Okay. Well, I am so glad that we actually sat there and talked about that for 5 minutes. It went exactly nowhere, but okay, sure. Speaking of nowhere, Drew and Carly. Drew wants to go public. He felt like enough time has passed. So this way, they won't be caught for, FCC violations and going to jail and stuff like that. And Drew also talks about he's going to, I don't know, bow down. I mean, bow out or whatever. Sounds like bowing down, to be honest. But bowing out of the whole ELQ thing. which is like, okay, fine, you got Aurora. I don't like, you don't want to merge the companies. Don't merge the companies. You got your own thing, and Ned has his own thing. Case closed. That was it. And after that, they just pretty much made out and you know slept together, and that was pretty much about it. That was the only scenes that I can sit there and remember Carly and Drew. That was it. I can't really sit there and think of anything else. Jay Marley. But I would sit there and say, I think the reason why Hat Daddy did not go hard on Porsha is because Porsha helped bridge that gap between Marshall and Curtis. That's another reason why he didn't really go at her. Plus, he left his family for X amount of years and stuff like that. So, he doesn't really have a lot of room to sit there and judge her when it comes towards, you know, doing some bad stuff. Or at the very least, some very questionable things. So, yeah, for the most part, Portia is pretty much kind of off the hook. Um, well, she's not really off the hook. I feel like it just, nah, it's a bad choice of words. I wouldn't say that's off the hook, but so far she didn't really get a lot of smoke from anyone. Trina just wants to keep her distance. That's pretty much about it. And she's mad at her, but, you know, to be honest, I feel like Trina actually gave her more smoke than Curtis did. And Taggart. You know what? I'm not even gonna go there with that because I'm still disappointed with those scenes. Um, yeah, I think that's pretty much about it. I can't really think of anything else. So with that being said, I'm gonna go. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe, and I will see you in the next video.